What you are listening to is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in the squared circle. Both parties have agreed to dismiss their cases and have their disputes settled here in our forum, the Turnbuckle Debate.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Turnbuckle Debate. My name is Sneed.
I'm Chad.
I'm Tom, the OG Fit Kid, the staple of the Turnbuckle Debate.
And we have a special guest joining us today from the TITANTRON Podcast. Today we have Anthony with us. What's going on, man?
What's going on? I just want to say real quick, I had no idea that the theme song was going to play live, so I think that's very cool. I'm used to just putting it in post, but to have it live, that was a very cool intro. So, hey, I'm glad to be here. Getting ready to debate it up. I'm looking forward to it.
I think it adds a little bit of it just gets you ready to go.
Yeah, it like hypes me up, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a little hype. I know we could add it in post, but I was like, you know what? It would be fun to just have it on.
Oh
Yeah.
But yeah, man, we're glad to have you on. Won't you tell everybody a little bit about the TITANTRON Podcast?
Yeah, totally. So, I've the Titantron's been through a lot of changes lately. I took a few month break off and I've come back with a new kind of format that I'm doing things on. So I have two shows with the Titantron right now. First one is actually on a new app that I've been promoting the hell out of. It's called the Bench Sports app. It's a live radio for sports, basically any sports. It's we call it, by the fans, for the fans. We have basketball shows, football, you name it. And, yours truly is the only wrestling show on there at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fridays. So, I talk about all current wrestling stuff for a half an hour. It's a good listen. So I have that. That's the Titantron Live. But then I have the podcast format. And basically, I take a new topic every week. It could be anything in wrestling. And I bring on different experts that I like to call them. It could be anyone from podcasters to wrestlers to anyone in between. And we just talk about the topics, kind of get their expertise on it. For example, the first episode that I just had was on comparing wrestling like then and now and kind of seeing like the trends that have led up to wrestling. And I interviewed Tyler from Counted Out. Shout out to him. He's a great guy. And former WWF writer Vince Russo. And that was a very interesting conversation with him. It was a great episode. Check it out if you get the chance. And that's basically what I have going on.
That's awesome, man. And to have Vince Russo on, that's a big deal.
Yeah. I was. I always said that he was like at the top of my interview bucket list. So once the opportunity presented itself, I jumped right on that, and it was a really great talk. One I'll never forget.
And he has no problem saying controversial things.
Oh no, exactly. And it kind of fits the whole vibe of the Titantron. Like we don't hold back on the show. We just say it exactly how it is. So who better to start off my first interview than Mr. Russo himself. So it was a really fun time.
Now,
that's awesome.
On the Bench Sports app, when you do that at 6:30 on Fridays, are you going live or is that tape?
It's all live. It is
That's
all
awesome.
live. Yeah. It was kind of weird, getting the whole vibe of going live. But right when it happened, it just picked up on it. And we were talking about, like Money in the Bank and stuff last week. This week still haven't figured out what we're going to talk about yet, but that's why you have to tune in for it. It's always a fun time. Sometimes I'll have guests coming on the show. Other people in the Bench Sports app are also wrestling fans, so I can bring them on. And other podcasters, even you guys, if you're ever available at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, come on and we'll talk about some wrestling.
Yeah, man.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Well, we're glad to have you here, man. What we do, I know you listen to the show, but we have 3 topics that we debate. I know you brought a topic to the table today, which will be our second topic of the evening. And we just go to 12 to 15 minutes and just kind of let it flow.
Nice. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. So are you guys ready to
Let's do it.
Get into it? Tom, you ready?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
That's the face of a man that's ready. Look at him.
yeah.
I'm always ready.
He's always ready.
All right, here we go.
Matt Cardona.
Oh.
All right, our first topic of the evening. What WWE superstar could be the next big thing if given that Vince McMahon push? Now, we all know that Vince McMahon's push means a lot when it comes to making or breaking that next WWE superstar. And if he puts that stamp on you, it's pretty much putting a rocket on your back and sending you to the moon.
Yeah. And honestly, in today's WWE, you have to have that Vince McMahon push. The days of getting yourself over are kind of behind us, it seems like. I'll kick it off. I mean, I think someone who I have two, and I think one's a little more, I think one of you guys may have this one. So I'm going to go completely off the wall here. I think someone who could have gotten over massive and could have been a title holder, and this is going to sound ridiculous when I first say it, Otis. If Vince McMahon would have got behind Otis at the height of the Mandy Rose, people loved him. This guy was like Chris Farley for WWE. He was this kind of big, lovable barrel of a man, super entertaining. A sports entertainer in the truest sense for WWE. Imagine if Vince McMahon would give him that push and actually give this guy a title. This is a guy who has that everyman Dusty Rhodes kind of quality to him. People related to him. They loved him. And I think when they broke up Heavy Machinery and they kind of killed the gimmick and they gave him the Money in the Bank, which instantly made you think they were teasing. Maybe he didn't win the belt, but they were teasing with the idea of giving him a world title shot, at least, maybe even a run. Then they take that away from him. They throw him with Gable. They shave his beard. They cut his hair. They've kind of neutered the guy. But if Vince McMahon, when he really got that, when he had that Money in the Bank opportunity and Vince was just like, you know what? Let's see what we can do with this guy. I think he could have actually been very, very big in the company.
100% agree. My pick was Otis, so I will go with someone else, but the Otis was my pick, and that it's for that exact reason. That guy was so over when that Money in the Bank gimmick was going on, right when he got Money in the Bank, and then they got when Heavy Machinery broke up, they had that sympathy for him. And just the whole angle with Mandy Rose, that guy could have.
Dude, at that time, that was the angle of. Down. This was bigger than, this was pre-Reigns, like before Reigns really took over and this new awesome angle he's in. Otis was what I tuned in for. I mean, oh yeah, like his voice, everything was just so entertaining.
The
like,
belly rubs.
Yeah, the belly rubs. It was ridiculous, but in the best way.
Dude, that's an amazing, like, I didn't even think of him, but yeah, you're right. Like a perfect comparison to Dusty Rhodes. And that year in a Women's Royal Rumble, he got the biggest pops just standing outside of the ring and catching Mandy Rhodes and everything.
Was over.
So like, it's just crazy that they just dropped it. And you know what? That is an excellent pick. You know, as much as I love Riddle and I think he's a future champ, I honestly don't know if there's a person in his company that could be the next breakout star. I don't see somebody like a John Cena in this company right now. I just don't see anybody who's able to do it. And I'm talking through NXT and the main roster. There's nobody. You know, Otis was probably the best pick. As much as I like Riddle, he's not gonna bring everybody behind him and be like Cena on everything. Like he's entertaining for wrestling fans, but like there's just nobody that's there that I think that everybody's going to get behind, and it's going to be an amazing thing right now.
So I think they got
nobody. Well, I think nobody. Well, I mean, when you look at this question, I think you have to also look at it like you have to be the right guy in the right place at the right time. And Otis is a perfect example of someone who was the wrong guy at the wrong place at the wrong time, or even the right guy. I mean, but at the same time, it's like, you know, you have him win Money in the Bank, you have him, you know, with Mandy Rose and everything. It's just, you look at the champion and you're not going to have someone like Otis beat someone like Roman Reigns, especially with him starting, you know, to gain momentum with the championship. So Otis was a really good pick, you know, and I think even they could go down the route of pushing him a little bit now that he's with, you know, Alpha Academy. He kind of has the look of, you know, maybe a dominant heel or something like that. I don't see them doing it personally, but if there's anyone in my eyes who I see them, you know, Vince getting behind and pushing, you know, I think you have to have the look, obviously, like, you know, he likes beef. So, you know, you need someone who he can, like, you know, be marketable and stuff. I actually had two picks among some other ones, but, you know, I think one is an obvious one, at least in my eyes. It's Karrion Kross. I think
Oh.
he has the look, he has the entrance, he's good in the ring. I think, with some tweaks, and I'm sure Vince is going to make some tweaks, he will be a good star in the future. And someone that you can build up to be like a dominant heel. And number 2, and it might be a surprising one, but I'm just going to throw it out there. Omos. I think Omos
Really?
could be someone that if they have to split him away from AJ correctly and make sure that Omos is a good, is presented well in the breakup. But honestly, if they wanted someone to fill the gap that they've left now with Braun Strowman leaving and the gap that they're eventually going to want to fill with another Andre or Big Show, not to say that Omos is the next Andre or Big Show, obviously, but if they want that next giant, then they could do a lot to, you could put a manager with Omos. You could really, just protect him and make him this dominant, give him squash matches on Raw. They could do a lot to really make him a new star. And if there's anyone at this point right now, he has the look, obviously 7 foot, whatever he is. It might be a weird one, just the way that he's presented now, but I would go with Omos as well.
If WWE ever remembered how to book a big man, I could, possibly see that happening. But every big man they've had recently, they've ruined. Like Braun was ruined. Like they don't use them. They just keep putting them out there. And a guy like that, you want to be a special attraction. So when he is there, it's a must tune in. And when you have them out there every week, it's the same old thing. Mm-hmm. And they've done that with every big man they've had lately. And then, you look at a guy like Omos and he should just destroy people forever. But, if he's there every week, it's gonna be lost.
The one thing I worry about with big men in WWE is they usually get this little bit of a run as a monster and then they turn into a comedy act. They turn into this silly, larger than life babyface. I mean, how many times did they flip flop Big Show? Still babyface.
Very true.
I mean, even Braun, when Braun was flipping over ambulances and going nuts, he was so over. And then they had him win the titles with a kid at Mania, and it just all went down the tubes. The other person that I had that I didn't mention because I thought it was a little too obvious is Big E. I think Big E is like, if you would put the rocket on him, man, that guy is super charismatic. That would be one of the issues I have with Omos is he's got to show a little more charisma. Because I think when you're getting that Vince McMahon push to be a top guy, number one, you can be good in the ring. You can have all these qualities, but to me, the number one quality is charisma. You have to grab that audience and make them feel something. But Big E has that. He has the history of the New Day behind him, which fans, adore.
Right.
And if you really push that guy into a heavyweight title picture, and just one last comment on your Karrion Kross thing, I agree that it's a total package type of situation with him. I mean, the entrance, Scarlett, all of that is just genius. I've been a fan of Kross since Impact, the Indies, when he was Killer Kross. Guy does phenomenal promos, and if they gave him even a little more creative freedom, some of the promos he was cutting on the Indies that he would film himself is absolutely phenomenal. The guy has an eye for cinematic stuff. The only thing I would worry about with Karrion Kross going to the main roster is he's in a situation where he has to be very careful because there's a really good possibility that Vince would become infatuated with Scarlett over Karrion. She is so good at what she does. It might be one of those Sable Mark Marrow situations where he falls by the wayside and becomes this boring big man, and they put the rocket on Scarlett's back and she becomes the next great
I can totally
women's
see that
talent.
Yeah, 100%.
There's already rumors that they're separating them on the main roster. So
they had him up on main event, I guess, for a tryout match, and he didn't have the entrance. He didn't have Scarlett. He just looked like a regular guy with an NXT title replica belt. Like it was just, it was so weird to see. But I feel like they're a package deal, though. You can't separate them, and if they were to separate them, maybe they could make it work. But then I just worry so much about Karrion Kross because that guy needs to be presented well. And just real quick on your Big E point, he's the only guy right now that I could see as a viable threat to beat Roman for the title. He is the only guy on SmackDown right now. Of course, the draft might change that around, but honestly, Big E is the only guy that I could see beating him.
And I agree. And I think he's the only guy that the fans would get behind and believe.
Absolutely.
And beating Roman.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I didn't even that's a hell of a pick. When you said him, like the alarm went off in my head. Like he could light up an arena. He could, like you said, he has the charisma. People love him. He's a really good guy when you hear him
more
speak out.
charisma than him now.
Nobody.
Probably nobody. He's a hell of a pick. Like if they really wanted to put the rocket on him, I bet you it could work with him. I really do. He speaks well. He could, he does everything well.
Well, he's got the quality that I was talking about with Otis. Like Otis is super charismatic, but he doesn't have that. Fans don't necessarily take him as serious in that top position, but Big E has exactly the same, if not more charisma than an Otis, but he also has the what would you call it? Just the respect of the fans. He has the cachet with the fans that he's built up over years. I mean, I remember longevity. I remember when he was coming out with like Dolph Ziggler as a heavy, and then when New Day were when they were heels in the beginning. People forget that they were heels when they first. I loved them when they were heels.
They were great.
They were great as heels.
Good. New Day sucks was the chant.
New Day sucks.
Yeah. Sucks instead of New Day rocks.
It was so good.
But I want to go back to Riddle for a minute because, we know he's great in the ring, and I like the more serious side we're seeing of him in the ring. He's great with the backstage promos, but I want to see him cut a promo in front of a live crowd now and see how he does with that, because I don't know if he has that in him. I don't know.
My pick was going to be Otis. And then when Chad said Otis, I started thinking, like, who else would it be? And then Karrion Kross was the next one to pop into my mind. So, but I will say what everybody's thinking. I think right now, if they're like at this moment to capitalize on what's going on as of this moment in the business, Riddle.
He's the one fans are getting behind.
He's the one that if they really put the rocket on Bro, it would 100%. That's who could be elevated to that next huge star.
It's the best storyline on Raw right now. Everyone's loving this RK Bro. And the only thing, I'm always willing to play devil's advocate and throw a wrench in it. I think the dumb stoner type vibe he gives off is hilarious and entertaining. But like Tom said, I want to see him cut a promo in front of fans. Not only do I want to see him cut a promo in front of fans as, the bro, the stoner, surfer, whatever he's going for. I want to see him cut one of those heartfelt, super passionate, throwing the character away, being pushed into a feud where shit is on the line and he's really speaking from the heart. Can he do that? Can he go above the silly factor? Right. Because I feel like those people that really reach that next level, you have to have those moments, those pipe bombs. Yeah. Those you have to have those big epic heartfelt personal promos that pulls the fans in. Like, I can get behind this guy. He can't be just silly forever and get to the top.
But if he can do that, then
I agree.
Then he can absolutely be the
And of course, a huge plus is also that he's, in my opinion, one of the better guys in the ring that they have. I mean, you just saw the triple threat match that they 100%. Pulled on. He's really great in there, and you've seen his matches in NXT, and even before that, he's really, really good in the ring. So that's always a plus to have. But yeah, like you said, you need that passion, and his goofy promos are very hit or miss for me. But I know that Vince is going to put him in a situation, like you said, that, he's going to have to cut that passionate promo. And I think that'll really be the determining factor of whether or not he could be, one of those top guys. And honestly, I think he could do it.
Yeah,
I think they're setting him up already, though, with him and Randy Orton, the way he looks up to Randy Orton, and sooner or later, it's going to explode. So maybe that's when he comes out and he takes the key and he unzips his mouth and he throws it down and he rips that awesome promo about being hurt from Randy Orton and this is the new bro we're going to see. Like that, perfect setup right there to do something like that.
And just to touch,
Viper's going to Viper, man.
Yeah, man. And just to touch really quick on his wrestling ability, there's an argument to be had right now that he is. I know he's young in the business. I think he's been in it like 5 or 6 years. Obviously we know he came from UFC, but there's an argument to be had that this kid is making even the veterans, even the Randy Ortons of the world elevate themselves. Because when he's having these matches, dude, he is going hard. He's laying his shit in. He is like elevating the matches. Riddle matches, people should not sleep on Riddle because in ring, he is a top 5 guy in WWE.
Well,
he's honestly having the best match every week. Like Drew, the triple threat match every week. It's always hits, no misses.
Well, I don't know if you guys listened to Sam Roberts' podcast with Nick Gage. Nick Gage put Matt Riddle over huge.
Yeah, he makes it,
dude, for the matches that
we all
had,
talk. We all talk about we love reality in our wrestling, dude. If he makes me buy into, oh shit, that stuff looks like it hurts. Like he brings a legitimacy to matches.
Yeah, he really does. I mean, and like you said, he's only 5 or 6 years in, so give him another few years and, you know, put the rocket on him. Let's do it. I want to see him cut that promo though in front of a live crowd. And I have a feeling, you know, with the way they're doing their whole Randy Orton thing, when he could play that thing, because you could tell how he's playing, how he's looking up to Randy Orton. He's making me enjoy Randy Orton for the first time in a long time. Yeah.
All right, so there was our countdown. Anybody have any final thoughts before we move on?
I love everyone's picks.
Same here.
Yeah. We just need Vince to do it.
Yeah, Vince.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
We just need him to
Can only go so far.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right, so our next topic. Now, Anthony, this is the one that you brought to the table. What is the future of 205 Live now that most of the roster has been released? Because we know those big roster releases.
A lot of guys from 205 Live.
Yeah. So I actually wanted to bring this question to you guys because I usually just scroll through like the WWE.com like superstars page, and they have like the headers for the shows. And you have your Raw, SmackDown, all your top stars. You go to 205 Live now, and there's 4 guys on that header. That is the entire roster. I couldn't tell you a name on that roster. There's one guy that I know of that his whole gimmick is that he wrestles with his jacket on and something to do with like watermelons. I don't know. It's very weird. There's another guy with it's very strange. There's another guy with like purple hair that I think he's been on NXT before. He looks like a created wrestler on like SmackDown versus Raw or something. Don't know his name. And then the other 2 I could not tell you for the life of me. So when it comes to 205 Live, we're at the point where it's like, it's either you need to do something, and by something, a lot to save it, or you just have to kill it. But I'm in the group of people that actually thinks that you can save it, but you have to do it right. And the way that you do that, at least right now, you just debuted the Diamond Mine or whatever their group is called. Yep. Just take that feud with Kushida, put it on 205 Live. Immediately, you have something to carry you for 2 months while you're bringing in other wrestlers. That's what you start off with. From there, it's another story. But at least for now, that could carry you, and that could draw some interest to 205 Live.
So I just went to WWE.com right before we started, and there was no spot for 205 Live today. So I don't know if they pulled it down, but I wanted to go see who was on the roster. We were talking right before we came on, and it was gone. Because
I was laughing right before we came on because I pulled up a list and I saw one person on it.
so I don't know when you saw the list with 4, but as of now, there's a list with nobody. And
I think I saw it like 2 days ago or something like that. But wow, I did not. Wow,
also,
that's interesting.
I'll be honest. When I heard the question that you brought to the table, honestly, the first thing that came into my mind is, they still do 205 Live?
Right, exactly.
It's still a thing. I had no idea.
I was thinking the same thing.
Well, the funny thing about 205 Live to me is like it's kind of been doing its own thing in the dark, and no one's really, only the hardcore WWE fans have been paying attention. But dude, those guys were killing it. If you're a fan who complains about just work rate, no work rate matches, those guys were putting on solid matches. Now, to me, when they were, remember when Enzo was on there?
Yeah,
that show was super entertaining. When before last year's big cuts with Mike Kanellis and Maria Kanellis, when Mike Kanellis was on there, he had a really good run on there. They were actually telling stories on 205 Live. Now, I remember when 205 Live got created kind of in the wake of what was it? The Cruiserweight Classic.
Yeah.
Was kind of what created that. A lot of great talent on there. But as far as the future of 205 Live, dude, I think they're killing it. I think this new kind of initiative in that company right now, making all these cuts. I mean, we've had 3 major waves of releases just in this year. Now we're all used to the post WrestleMania cuts. Those typically happen. They've been happening for decades, but we've had 3 major waves. So there is like some major restructuring going on. They say it's for money, budget cut reasons. I don't necessarily agree that that's what they're doing, but I think what's going to happen, they're going to absorb that cruiserweight belt into NXT. They've already been featuring it. So I think they knew this was coming. They've already been preparing for it. I think they're going to absorb the talent that they want from there, but most of them have gotten cut anyways. And I think with going back out on the road, to not have to pay for an entire other roster to travel, to not have to try and shoot those live shows,
not have to produce another hour of television.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's just kill this.
Save all the money on the purple tape.
Plus we have, yeah. Plus there's a lot of, there's reports coming out that Vince McMahon this week is traveling to the Performance Center in Orlando to personally scout talent for the main roster. So he's going, this is what cracks me up. And this is going off topic, but I have to say it. They just released a shit ton of very talented people, and now they're scrambling to go scout new talent. To me, that just screams they want new talent at a cheaper price. They had all these people who had these kind of inflated contracts. Let's cut them and get some Performance Center guys up that we don't have to pay as much.
Yeah, that's absolutely what's going on. And I don't think they need 205 Live. I just don't think they need to have that. I think they can, like you said, absorb the cruiserweight into NXT and just make that a viable belt there. So I don't think they need to have another show featuring all of those guys.
I mean, my whole thing with go for it.
When 205 Live started, the whole division was on Raw and SmackDown at first. Anyway, the show started after. Remember, they used to have the purple lighting come on, and they'd have a 205 Live match on the pay-per-views.
It was a network exclusive show.
But before, weren't they having the matches just on SmackDown and Raw?
Yeah, they would have like 1 or 2 matches like within Raw, and then they would change the graphics and stuff.
Yeah, they would feature matches to get attention to the show, but the show I feel like they'd throw up the 205 Live graphic and then.
I mean, if you want to have the division, just incorporate it into the other shows. I mean, honestly, how many wrestlers even on our main roster are under 205 pounds right now? Probably it's really not even needed. So
yeah. I think the 205 moniker is kind of it's kind of like Impact with the X division. You had some whole
right. Division. Yeah, exactly.
It's lightweights, but you're not upholding to 205 pounds.
My whole thing with 205 Live is that, we mentioned before, there was an era of 205 Live from I enjoyed the whole Enzo stuff, but if you're talking like really good in-ring work, I consider right when Enzo was released, funny enough, that whole tournament, they did a tournament leading to WrestleMania 34 to crown like the new champion. From that tournament up until like WrestleMania 35, where I think it was Tony Nese won the belt, that whole year was really, really great for 205 Live. So I think that they could keep it around. If they're doing it the way that they are now of, filming it before NXT, and if they're going to do it at Full Sail, I think that would be a better environment than doing it like, say, on Raw or SmackDown. But I think where you can succeed in doing it is we always say that NXT should be the place where, guys who are being underutilized should go back down to NXT. Like, there's so many people saying like Cesaro should go back down to NXT before he started getting pushed. There are so many cruiserweights or, around cruiserweights right now who are being underutilized that could go back to 205 Live and kind of build up that credibility. So although you're looking for other talent and you're scouting other talent, you could also bring back names so that if you want to put 205 Live on Peacock just as a way to get more viewers, now, when you start to see guys like Ali and Mansoor coming back down to two. Who says that Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio can't go down to 205 Live once they lose those titles? You know what I mean? Like, I think you need to do it right with the credible names. And I think you start, like I said before, with bringing in that Diamond Mine, because that's drawing a lot of buzz right now with Roderick Strong and, Malcolm Bivens and the other two guys who I can't think of their names right now. And Kushida's a really great champion. So if they did want to continue it, I could see it happening, but it's looking more like they're just going to ditch the whole plan, which kind of sucks for the cruiserweight division as a whole, because, it kind of made them unique, but now it's just kind of going to be, absorbed into NXT, which sucks. But like that's what happens with 3 budget cuts. You know what I mean?
Another thing they could possibly do that I just kind of popped in my head was they've talked about doing another developmental type of show to make NXT more of a third brand, top tier type of thing. And you could utilize 205 Live, film it at Full Sail with NXT. That way you don't have another production day. Keep it at an hour and feature the young talent coming up. The good guys obviously have some talented guys like you said, bring in Roderick Strong, Tyler Rust, and I think Suzuki from Diamond Mines, bring them in there, give a couple elevated guys in there that could maybe float between that and NXT, but that could be your true developmental, and then have the Samoa Joes, Adam Cole's, Garganos in NXT, and almost like a feeder, a minor league feeder system from 205 Live into NXT into the main roster or whatever.
Right.
So I want to tie this question back to the first question for a minute. The fans loved Enzo. He had the charisma. Is it time to bring him back?
Oof. I love Enzo for what he does, but
I'm a huge Enzo fan, but I don't know if it's time. I think he's more suited for another company.
My thing is, if you bring back Enzo, you have to bring back Cass. They are just such a good tag team that even when they broke them up, you can't have one without the other. Sure, Enzo was great as a heel and everything, but he was just missing that SAWFT, right after his promos, and it wasn't the same for me.
The fans still loved him now. They're still behind him when he was singles, and I wouldn't mind. Even as a bad guy, they were still behind him. So they didn't hate him.
So what's your take on it, Tom?
I would like to see Enzo back with the company in some form. I wouldn't mind it at all. He was entertaining as hell when he was out there.
I'm with Anthony, though. If you bring him back, you got to bring back Cass. Now, in other companies, I don't think that's the case, because I think W. Morrissey, aka Big Cass, is killing it in Impact. Like, he's legitimizing himself right now as like he could be the next big man in the business. Like, he looks phenomenal right now. He's more in shape and scary looking than he ever was with Enzo.
He always had all the potential, so it's nice to see him putting it together now. And
right,
who knows where he'll wind up. He's going to be a champion somewhere.
Yeah.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. Anybody have any final words on this topic before we move on?
Nope.
Tom,
keep 205 Live.
Wow.
You just look like you had something to say, man.
Tom, you got something?
No, I'm good.
He's good.
I wouldn't keep quiet if I had something to say. You know that. I'm the staple, damn it.
All right. So our final topic of the evening is Tony Khan, the most divisive man in professional wrestling today. Now, we all know that Tony doesn't hold his tongue. He will cut a promo on anybody at any time. He's done a lot of stuff on Impact. And then, he's somebody that some fans praise, AEW fans praise, WWE fans not so much. So
he's a money mark to some, and he's a beloved man to others. So is he the most divisive man in pro wrestling?
I mean, listen, anytime you're a threat to you're a WWE fan and somebody you feel is a threat like Tony Khan, you're gonna hate him. Tony Khan's doing everything right now. I mean, is he probably is the most I can't even say the word, Say it for me.
Divisive.
Divisive. He is the most divisive man right now because he's doing so many different things. Like you said, he's on Impact every week with his promos and his ads. You know, you don't really see him on AEW ever, which is the way he intended it. So, you know, he gets to play that character on Impact. You know, then he cuts that promo on WWE about New Japan that they released on social media. Like he I loved it too. You know, I texted you guys as soon as it was up how good it was to go watch it. He's just rocking and rolling and having fun right now.
I love that fans get so butthurt over him.
Oh, it's one of my favorite things.
It's like, dude, it just cracks me up when people they take it so personal when he calls out WWE and Nick Khan and the New Japan thing, and everyone's like, he shouldn't be doing that. He should have respect, and to bring up the competition is to acknowledge them, and you should just focus on yourself. Who the fuck cares, man? Let them take shots at each other. I would appreciate it if Vince wasn't so corporate and he would come out and shit on Tony Khan. I'm all for it. I'm a wrestling fan. I want stir the pot, baby. Stir the pot. I don't want people to sit and he needs to be a little respectful. Do we want this to be the NFL where athletes and the commissioner comes out and says these canned, boring ass answers? No, I want shit to rile everyone up. Let's get it going.
What was the word that you used? You don't want them to be what?
Canned.
Or no, it started with an R.
Robotic?
Respectful?
Respectful. Oh,
that's,
yeah.
Come on, man. We're talking professional wrestling. When the hell is when does respectful come in?
No, I feel like Tony Khan, he only does what he does to push WWE. He's just going to keep trying to get them to do something and fire back or better their product. As he should, 100%. It worked with the Monday Night Wars. WCW had to force the Attitude Era. It's the only reason why it happened. He's trying to do the same thing right now to get WWE to better their product because he's a wrestling fan and he knows everybody will benefit if it's better.
Tony Khan is leading a company that has the spirit of ECW in its sights. Like it is thriving off of fans that were disgruntled with what we were being given and not having an alternative. They are leaning into this outlaw outsider mentality, and it's a genius move for the fan base. People like to hear someone tell the big bad big brother, the corporate giant, hey, fuck you, we're doing our thing and we're coming for you. I like that. I like the fire. I like the passion. I like that his guys feed off of that. And everyone calls him a money mark. To me, it's like, dude, this is a lifelong pro wrestling fan. His dad took him to ECW when he was 12 years old. He was in the front row. This is a kid who grew up loving pro wrestling. And when everyone was kind of bent out of shape about WWE being the only show in town for 2 decades, everyone was like, man, what we really need is like a diehard wrestling fan who has $1 billion. Well, that's
exactly.
What he is.
He's exactly us with
exactly.
He's us with the ability to do something about it.
My whole thing with Tony Khan is that, you know, I'm kind of, you know, separate from you guys in that I don't love the frequent WWE shots. And that's just, you know, coming from the whole idea of like, you know, it's a lot. You do it a lot. But I also like that I don't like it because that's pushing me to see there's obviously another threat to WWE right now. And there's someone that's willing to say this stuff. So me not liking it is kind of like acknowledging that there is another company right now. But like when it comes to the whole idea of Tony Khan being the most divisive person in wrestling right now, it's 100% because the way I see it, Tony Khan is the root of what everyone else who you could consider a divisive figure to branch off of, at least right now. Because you look at it like, who are your other candidates? Cody Rhodes. The only reason why he's divisive right now is because he has a position in AEW. You know, you look at someone like Jim Cornette. The only reason why people are really divisive around him, at least right now, you could talk about his history, but if we're looking at in 2021, the biggest reason is because Jim Cornette hates AEW. So that means the fan base is going to go and butt heads with not only Jim Cornette, not only with the fans, but also with Tony Khan. And then you also look at it, Vince himself. The reason why, you know, at least right now, and again, just, you know, right now, you could talk about Vince's history for as long as you want to, but, you know, you're starting to see fans compare Tony Khan's business practices compared to Vince McMahon's business practices, which makes Tony Khan even more divisive because now you have the, diehard AEW fans compared to the WWE fans who are seeing those shots being taken and they're like, oh, all the time. But that's what you need. You need someone like Tony Khan to kind of be that divisive figure so that there's all this commotion being drawn, but it's not so much of who's right. It's just that the commotion is being drawn in the first place because that's what wrestling was missing for before AEW was created. You were missing that second in command until, right after the Attitude Era and WCW, you were missing that second company that was going to challenge WWE. And now that we have that, it's taking a lot of fans some time to kind of understand what is going on. And, will they ever understand? I don't know. But I think we need someone like Tony Khan right now. And as much as I hate those WWE shots, like I said, I think we need them.
I agree. I love them. Keep bringing them on. Let Vince bring back the Huckster and the Nacho Man and do something to fire back.
That's my thing. It's like, this isn't like he's, oh my God, no one's ever done this before. Like, dude, Taz was calling out every champion from WWE, WCW, shitting all over him, calling him pussies when he was in ECW. They had Nacho Man, the Huckster. They had the billionaire Ted sketch.
I'm Jim Cornette, and that's my opinion. Those promos.
Yeah, they had all of that stuff. So this is just wrestling. But as far as like a true threat, like, I love AEW. I love Tony Khan and what he's brought back to the industry and brought back an alternative. Do I think he is a threat to WWE? No, he's not. This whole like thing of some fans, we're going to put them out of business. Nobody's going out of business, especially WWE.
Yeah.
They have 70 years, I believe. I think, what is it? No, not 70. I think 1950 something they were created. They've been around for a long time. They're a global powerhouse. We're not worried about AEW closing their doors. I just like an alternative. I like someone who does things a little differently. I like someone who's not so buttoned up. I like someone who's my age and who has my attitude to like stick it to the man. Let's do this.
Well, I think competition is what makes every company better.
Absolutely.
You have to have that competition, and I don't think anybody's trying to put anybody out of business. Tony Khan doesn't have that's not his goal.
No,
his goal with everything that he's doing is to poke and prod and push them to be better.
Exactly.
I think that's
what he would be delusional if he thought he was going to put them out of business. Like, dude, you're 2 years in. You're a little over 2 years in. Pump the brakes. But he does get that his fan base is a younger fan base. And to go in there and rile it up and stir the pot.
Yeah, it's almost like he's feeding into it. Like, obviously they're not going to take over the WWE, but it's almost like they have the mentality that they can. You know what I mean? Like they have just the Eddie Kingston promo that you just heard the other day. It's that type of stuff that it's like they're acting like they can. And it's just that swagger about them that's what we were missing in wrestling.
Yep. Now, I think he's the most divisive man in wrestling? From all of Anthony's points, I would tend to agree. But to me, the real most divisive man in pro wrestling right now is a Khan, but it's not Tony Khan. It's Nick Khan.
Yes.
Talk about a guy who is like shit canning people left and right. And he's doing the antithesis of what Tony Khan is doing. Nick Khan is taking away people's paychecks. He's taking away their pay. Tony Khan is giving an option to pro wrestlers so when they go to negotiate, they can make more money. So you have one Khan who's taking your money away, and you have another Khan who's giving you an option to increase your payday. So to me, it all comes down to pro wrestlers making money. I want pro wrestlers to make all the money in the world. At the end of I'm not a company man. I like the guys. I like the boys in the locker room. I want them to make all the money they can and be successful. And Tony Khan allows them to make buku dollars, and Nick Khan takes away those dollars. So I'm going to say the most divisive man in pro wrestling with the last name Khan is Nick Khan.
That's a very solid point.
Yeah, I can totally see that. And I think it's time for Vince to dress some people up. I think we need Stardust and Goldust to come out.
Dress up a couple young enhancement talent guys and
Hey, take those the no names that are on 205 Live right now. The Creator Wrestling, put some star face paint on them. You know what I mean?
Oh my God, Goldust and Stardust are back.
Can you imagine though if they did promos where they said we're gonna see, Goldust, or they just started teasing that they were gonna have it on there?
That would be so great.
Come on, man.
The reaction they would get, they would have people turning in, and AEW fans would be hating it. WWE fans would be loving it.
The last time they did something like that was when they played CM Punk's music and then Paul Heyman walked out.
Yeah.
You need more of that stuff. And if they did something with AEW, oh my God, they would go ballistic.
They trolled the fans so hard on that. They were pissed when Paul Heyman walked out.
Yeah.
I just want to make one point about, AEW taking shots at WWE. And I get like a lot of people don't like that they do it so much, but let's not forget this all started. Who was the first person to take the first shot? WWE.
Yep.
When they were
Hall
of Fame,
yeah,
and H called it a pissant company. And it cracks me up. It's like the guy I'm reminded of Joe Pesci, and I believe it was either Casino or Goodfellas, and they said, if you beat him with a ball bat, he's going to come back with a knife. If you beat him with a knife, he's going to come back with a gun. It's like you poked the bear, and now you're mad that bear is unrelentingly firing back at you. Like, you shouldn't have poked the bear, man. Like, who knows how this would have gone if they never would have said anything. And then they sent that shitty email after the first Dynamite that was like, kind of this sarcastic, half-hearted, good job, but it's a marathon, not a race. And then they proceed to lose rating week after rating week after rating.
I totally forgot about that. Wow.
And then you announced it wasn't a war after it's over, after you said it's a marathon.
Yeah, so here's the thing. All the fans like to say that WWE doesn't talk shit. WWE just talks shit differently. They do it these very veiled, passive aggressive ways. Very passive aggressive, where AEW just comes out and says, fuck you. Like, that's the two differences.
And that it's more Triple H who does the shots than Vince ever would. Vince probably doesn't even like it when he does that.
Vince doesn't know.
Well, AEW's the big brother that does things quietly to piss off the little brother. The little brother gets loud and everybody sees them.
Well, but even Vince on that media call when he had that the stockbroker call or whatever you call it, where he's talking to all the board of directors call, and he came out and said, well, that company, they're just a blood and guts company. Like, I can't believe that someone gets behind them. All they are is about blood and guts. And then what's AEW do? They trademark blood and guts and make it.
Blood and guts.
I love it. Like, that's what I want to do. That all came from Vince McMahon shitting on them in a conference call.
Yeah, that's so funny.
I think it's great, man.
I love it. Like,
I do too. I love it all.
Like Sneed said, I want Vince to come out and trot Goldust and Stardust down to the ring and shit on Tony Khan. I'm all for it.
Can you oh man, I don't watch WWE product very often, but I would 1000% tune in for that.
Give me some Tony Khan money mark gimmicks. We had the billionaire Ted gimmicks. Let's get some money mark Tony gimmicks. Let's do it.
I love it.
Put Nick Khan in some things and let him spoof himself. And
all right. Final closing words before we wrap it up.
I just wanted to say the whole Nick Khan point was a really, really great point, but I think I'll stick with the other Khan still on just the whole branching out idea.
No, I love that. The Jim Cornette thing, like all of those, that was great.
Now, Anthony, before we wrap up, let everybody know where they can find you and your podcast and your show, everything that you offer.
Yes. I am. You can find me on Instagram at the Titantron Podcast, Twitter at _Titantron. I wanted it to be all one word, but that name was taken, so there's an underscore. You could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just type in the Titantron, and you'll find me. As far as the podcast, you can hear it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere where you can find your podcast. Really, you can also download the Bench Sports app. It's on for iPhone users only right now, but if you do have an Android, there's an RSS feed that you can listen to, and you can listen to it especially on Fridays, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a half hour. you got this guy talking about wrestling. It's a Titantron Live. And and there's also some Titantron merch. If you ever want to, spend a couple dollars and help out the cause, you could always, it's the Titantron podcast.creator-spring.com. I don't know how I remembered that, but I got to always have it handy. But yeah, that's where you can find me. And I hope that you'll turn your attention to the Titantron. And I want to thank you guys so much for having me on. This was an amazing time. Whenever you need someone to debate with you guys, let me know, and I'll be ready to, debate it up.
Definitely,
your
man.
seat's always open, man. You can stop by anytime you want.
Yeah,
awesome.
We'll put links in the description of our YouTube video for all of Anthony, all the merch and all of that good stuff. But yeah, we had a blast, man.
Yeah,
definitely have you
Same
on.
here. Thank you so much.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap us up for this week. Tom, go ahead and get your stuff in.
Turnbuckle Sessions every Wednesday. New episode. The OG Fit Kid on Twitter and Instagram.
And on YouTube. Plug it.
Raw recap.
The Monday Night Raw recap show. When Raw goes off, we come on.
I like your tagline.
Thank you. I made it up on the fly.
There you go. All right. Court is dismissed.